What do you mean I can't put a bid in for him? Sir, this is the immigration hotline. You can't bid for people anymore. All right, Gaffer, what we saying? You know what? Look, listen, let me call you back. Please, no, never call us again. Yeah, so look, mate, you're in a team today. You're playing centre-back shot. Centre-back shot. Sorry, what do you mean? Do you mean centre-back? No, centre-back shot. And you're gonna find out what that means. Using my back off for the ball. Yeah, listen, I'm handing in a transfer request. Yo guys, it is your boy Earnin here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst what football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, welcome to the first episode of the year. 2025 was an incredible year, and I do want to thank you all for that. The fact this series is still going is absolutely mad, so I can only, thank you so much. I'm still watching it, still engaging with it. Honestly, I fucking love you lot. 2026 is going to be even better. The fact that I'm aging like this, though, this is season 7, yeah, this is not okay. But 2025 was a year where Katy Perry went to space and unfortunately returned. Coldplay accidentally exposed a couple who couldn't live with the mistakes they'd made, being the fact they'd gone to a Coldplay concert. Short form website TikTok was banned for a hot second.
Fucking hell, man.
And elsewhere in more recent news, and the Epstein files were revealed. I'm joking, Alejandro Garnacho was not actually in them. He's been too busy getting emotionally assassinated by his fitness coach. But 2025 did feature PSG win the Champions League, Harry Kane gets some silverware, Tottenham win a European trophy, but even more surprisingly than that, Manuel Ugarte still has a job. On to the football though now, and there's been a fair few people down at the job centre. A former United boss, a former Chelsea boss, a former Celtic boss, supporters of Tommy Robinson. But we start with the first of those. Ineos and Sir Jim finally deciding to make a job cut that actually mattered in sacking Ruben Amorim after 14 months in charge.
We have caught and compromised to a permanent end Osama bin Laden.
He famously predicted that the good times would be coming back for Manchester United. He meant him leaving. Those were the good days that he could foresee.
The days are coming.
Diogo Dalot is absolutely devastated at this news, realizing he's about to be fired into a volcano in Western Madeira now that his Portuguese uncle isn't in charge. But Amorim and his coaching staff will be throwing Kobbie Mainoo off the top of Old Trafford before they leave. But how did we even get here? Well, by being shit. Obviously, plenty of moments, really, unfortunately for Ruben Amorim, like finishing, of course, 15th in the league, less of a moment and more of an experience. The Europa League loss against Tottenham at the end of the season, or maybe even defeat to League 2 Grimsby in the Cup this campaign. But more recently, there was the festive period. Now, going into Wolves' game against United, the Old Gold had a record that genuinely made them look like they were going to beat Derby's all-time low record tally. Defeat after defeat after defeat until the Red Devils came along. Dr. United, you've got another patient. This one genuinely has no limbs. There's no saving it. They gave Wolverhampton Wanderers 33% of their points at the time and gave United fans 100% of a reason to jump off Sainsbury's local. This game was a disaster for the favourites here. I mean, how did Wolves only leave with 1 point, for fuck's sake? No, but really, it was so predictable, and that's really an indictment of Ruben Amorim's spell. Next up, there was a chance at redemption versus rivals Leeds. These two have fought more in their history than an Anthony Joshua boxing career. United's pride, though, came out looking like Jake Paul's jaw when Leeds took the lead. Aidan Heaven's movement was more like hell for United supporters for the goal, and Benjamin Seschko's finishing at the other end wasn't too much better. Thankfully for United fans, and Matheus Cunha was on hand to actually put the ball in the back of the net, but Ruben was still not happy at full time.
I just want to say that I'm going to be the manager of this team, not just the coach. And I was really clear on that. And that is going to finish in 18 months. And then everyone is going to move on. That was the deal. That is my job.
And 47 minutes later, my man was gone.
I'm not enjoying this one bit. Right,
so Jim could be seen watching this interview take place in his living room at home. Right, fucking kill that dinner lady. Meanwhile, it's beautiful news for Kobbie Mainoo, who's rocking up to training a different man this week. This is how he's recovered from an injury that he'd apparently got at the end of Ruben Amorim's tenure. Alejandro Garnacho was caught liking a post confirming Ruben's sacking. Brother thinks he's not the problem, but he looked absolutely delighted upon leaving Manchester for the final time. I mean, look at him. He's beaming here, and I would be as well after a £10 million payday. No bad feelings, just bad results. He could even be seen dapping up a photographer as he said his final goodbyes.
Good luck with everything, yeah?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate. Yeah.
Now, if we stop that there, the angle of elbowular coordination is absolutely prime. Connection, top quality, sound crisp. The judges are gonna love this one. Yeah, no, it's a classic. It's absolutely sensational. He's literally printing money in the backseat of the Sprinter as he drives away from Old Trafford. Apparently, staff members at the club were confused seeing Ruben laughing when he left for the final time.
What are you laughing at, you fucking fool? What's he laughing at?
It's the end of an era, truly. It leaves Darren Fletcher in interim charge. He'll be devastated when his son pulls a hamstring against Burnley.
That's my son! That's my boy!
Jack absolutely fuming, though, with his dad when he's dropped for his twin brother.
You're not my dad! You also hear something ugly ass.
Gary Neville suggested maybe the likes of a Darren Fletcher could be a good job for the role. The vacant role now, of course, at Manchester United. Someone that needs United DNA. United fans, I'm sure, will be fine when United are 7-0 down, but Gary Neville knows about Old Trafford's biology. And with that, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been linked to a sensational return. He'll be left absolutely fuming when he returns and sees that the jacuzzi in Carrington is exactly the same as when he left.
What the bloody hell has happened in here?
Maybe it's time for one final Ronaldo rodeo. From one mess though to another though now, and we head to West London. Chelsea have now possessed the manager for 18 months, which means it's time to blast their current one into the sun. Enzo Maresca also lost his job at the start of 2026. Now, I spoke about it in more detail in this video here, but I personally think it was very harsh, and ultimately I think it's more of a disagreement in terms of how to take the club forward and what signings he needs. Because for a relatively inexperienced coach, and with the whole situation going on at Chelsea, constant meddling from above, constant chopping and changing of players and staff, I think he was doing an acceptable job. In good news though for him, he doesn't have to actually coach Tosin anymore. Meanwhile, poor Cole Palmer just thinks that Enzo Maresca's gone away for AFCON duty. The vacant managerial role will be taken by already Blue Co-man Liam Rosenior, who joins from French side Strasbourg. He, of course, was a Brighton player in his playing days. Strasbourg, who, you know, you could argue would be derailed by their manager leaving mid-season. Not that anyone at Blue Co actually cares or cares whatsoever about their feeder club, something that I've discussed in this video here as well. Liam Rosenior, though, I feel for your pal. He'll be getting vexed when he sees Alejandro Garnacho put a cross out for a goal kick for the 14th time in a match. He's also got to deal with Enzo Fernandez, who's had a controversial history, let's just say.
What are you doing here? In a racist way.
And Liam's starting his role with controversy as well, after being convicted of speeding. Brother's got 3 points before he's even taken charge. They're on his licence, but that's not the point. And Gary O'Neill will be replacing him at Strasbourg. A 1000 IQ play to know that he's getting a pay rise and a move to London in 2028 sometime. Now, in Enzo Maresca's absence, and Chelsea will be facing off against title challengers Manchester City, the Sharks were coming for the Gunners, but Arsenal are safely in their bath at home. That's the slight issue. Yeah, Chelsea actually did a good job in grabbing a late draw thanks to Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea fans are less impressed though, knowing that this goal means Arsenal are one step closer to the title. Shout out to Callum McFarlane though, by the way, the club's under-21s coach, who took charge here on an interim basis and managed to out-tactic Pep Guardiola in one game. We got a PE teacher winning it for Arsenal. I'm joking, this guy actually has a good coach in history. Tijani Reinders scored the first goal of this game, but he's got to be disgusted being asked to play after a full shift for Santa over Christmas. Lots of Man City chances in the first half, though the tide changed a little bit in the second. Liam Delap came on for a pretty good cameo against his former side, though got into a scrap immediately with Kusanov.
But the main thing is, you bunch of fuckers.
No fucking fighting!
Get the fuck in.
But this game was disastrous for City on multiple levels, obviously dropping points in the race against Arsenal, but also both their starting centre-backs getting injured and for a decent amount of time. Joshko Gvardiol out for potentially the rest of the season. Ruben Amorim deleted. Enzo Maresca, old F forward. Arne Slot looking over his shoulder towards the job centre. But thankfully for him, we would grab a late win versus Fulham.
I'm not bothered, really, I'm not bothered.
Guys, please, just play well for like 2 games in a row. That's all I'm at. You know how devilishly disastrous. Zimbabwean integrated back-to-back melon swindling on a large scale this week. Above sea level snooker table patchwork knitting this century. Liverpool sunk to a 2-2 draw at Craven Cottage against Fulham despite a late Cody Gakpo goal. The game didn't deserve to have Gakpo win it, to be honest with you. His highlights all of this season have been a shambles. He must have been watching Richarlison Alisson compilations before kickoff. The equaliser, though, in this game is your first goal of the week. A dagger through my heart, but the ball travelling through the air like a hot knife through butter. Harrison Reed slapping it into the top corner off the crossbar. We've conceded a screamer to a CPU Pro Clubs player. I can't believe this man's goal-scoring record. It doesn't exist. There isn't one. And been named legend of the match, you know, by Fulham. All right, that's probably going a bit too... This Ginger Donny has done a madness, and Marco Silva knew it in the team talk at full time.
You are freaking African Americans plus Mark. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm rocking with Mark.
Florian Wirtz grabbed a goal in this one to initially equalise, though seemed to be offside as Connor Bradley poked it through. How is this actually on, though? Like, I'm not even going to joke or take the piss. The cuts of the grass literally show you that his toe is offside. But in a potentially pivotal match in the Premier League season, Premier League hopefuls Arsenal would travel to the reigning champions for... Yeah, this game was fucking shit, guys. I'm not even going to try and pretend. Arsenal drew 0-0 with Liverpool at the Emirates Stadium after a pretty dull affair. I honestly have about two things to say about this game. The first of them is that Vic Star-Gyökeres is genuinely one of the worst footballers I've ever seen in my life. His heat map told a story. And the second thing was right at the death, where after Connor Bradley went down with a potentially serious knee injury, Gabriel Martinelli reacted by throwing a football at him and then shoving him off the pitch because he thought he was time wasting. Now, for me, I thought it was pretty obvious. Like, as soon as Bradley went down, I was like, he's blammed his knee out. It's a wrap. I curtains. And I think everybody else could see that it was pretty serious as well. Gabriel clearly thought not, and Gary Neville said that he was surprised the Liverpool player didn't knock him out. Gary was about to run onto the pitch himself to obliterate the Brazilian. Saw Arsenal fans complaining that he was time wasting. He was never actually fully off the pitch, never rolled back onto the pitch, as some people are saying. And it is very ironic that he chose that course of action after himself and Mikel Arteta conspired to do even worse, getting up and rolling back onto the pitch when it suited them. Now, I was very annoyed at this. In fairness, Gabriel apparently spoke to Connor and has apologised to him. If they've talked it out, then that's absolutely fine, but I do hope he's learned from it, because in the moment, it was in really poor taste, I'm not going to lie. Arsenal are probably still going to win the league, but I was at least impressed by Liverpool defensively. But a big boost in the title race for Arsenal was Manchester City dropping points against Brighton at the Etihad. Arsenal fans practically drooling at the thought of both them and Aston Villa dropping points on the same day. This wasn't just a hate watch, this was a despise watch for Gunners supporters. Pep Guardiola clearly doesn't feel like going on a 58-game winning streak when Liverpool are involved in the title race. Yeah, sound mate, don't worry about it. Meanwhile, Haaland.exe wasn't really working when it really came down to it in front of goal. Elsewhere, in Chelsea were defeated by West London rivals Fulham 2-1 at Craven Cottage after an early red card for Mark Cucurella. These lot trying to rub 6 brain cells together to keep 11 footballers on the pitch at the same time. It never works. The red cards they've received in all comps this season is getting out of hand. Top of the league for cards dished out by referees, you'll never sing that. They had 4 yellow cards and 1 red by the 24th minute. Not a great first sight for Liam Rossinho, who was watching on in the stands, taking the piss out of Pedro Neto, attempting to look like an actual footballer. Raul Jimenez scored in this game and celebrated with a callback to Bob Sanchez's aura farming. Yeah, it's a shithousery award from the Mexican striker. And Fulham's tweet about levelling up, a callback to Tosin after he left Fulham for Chelsea a year ago. Yeah, that's a shithousery award as well. Fulham, you're in good form. At Tottenham versus Bournemouth though now, and there was a late drama for the Cherries. Antoine Semenyo scoring a poetic late goal to win Bournemouth the game after a catastrophic winless streak. It was an absolute banger in what could prove to be his final game for the club. There wasn't the same love for Tottenham. Mickey van der Ven was seen clashing with travelling supporters, but even more concerning here was Thomas Frank, who's now 6 points behind his own set-piece coach from last season. Yeah, nah, this is dark. And was seen holding a cup with an Arsenal badge on it before kickoff. Bro, what are you doing? The only cup he's holding all year, and it's an Arsenal one, for fuck's sake. I know he's been trying to get himself sacked all season, but this takes the biscuit. He must be depressed when he drives past the Emirates on his way to Tottenham Stadium, wishing he'd taken over the job there instead. Brentford defeated Sunderland 3-0 to go 5th in the league, and they were in awe at how bad Enzo Lefebvre's Panenka attempt was. Meanwhile, I was personally in awe at the absolute cinema that went on between Newcastle and Leeds. A 7-goal thriller ending with a 102nd minute winner from Harvey Barnes, the latest winning goal in the Premier League since the mid-2000s. Leeds supporters, though, not sharing that sentiment.
Hey, fuck you, Harvey Barnes!
Anyway, in the build-up to Arsenal's clash against Aston Villa, and I'm sure things are going absolutely fine on Sky Sports,
would you stop it there?
Jamie Carragher and Ashley Young do what?
I'm recoiling watching that. It is disgusting.
Yeah, it's a poor state of affairs from Jamie Carragher when he gets 35 seconds in and realises that he's got no stamina anymore.
Well, a couple of weeks ago you said his legs had gone.
This was a big test for the Gunners over the festive period versus an Aston Villa side on a crazy winning run. And not only that, but a traditional bogey side for Arsenal specifically. However, Arsenal would far from slip up, dishing out a 4-1 drubbing for the villains. Emi Martinez was too worried about stretching out his groins. Meanwhile, Mikel Arteta can be happy with his pressing. No, not his team's pressing, the pressing he was actually doing down on the touchline. He could be seen running out and clamping Jadon Sancho down the right-hand side. No, but genuinely, we do actually have to do something about that. At full-time, and Unai Emery was not waiting for Mikel Arteta after this lack of sportsmanship, suggesting at full-time that he couldn't be asked to wait for Mikel whilst he was off, like, celebrating with all of his coaches. And there was a slight bit of head loss at full-time.
You're upset with him for not shaking hands? No, sorry. Okay.
I am so happy.
I'm so happy.
It wasn't much better for Emi Martinez either, as he was getting into it with Arsenal supporters heading down the tunnel. But at least there was some level of wholesomeness for Villa, as the mother of Villa youngster Jamaldine Jimo Alaba was delighted to see her son make his debut. We love to see it. Aston Villa did at least get back to winning form by defeating Forest 3-1. John McGinn grabbed a brace and an interesting celebration. Meanwhile, Forest goalkeeper had an absolute stinker. Why are you there? No, but genuinely, why has he come out for this? Look at this screenshot. The Villa attacker is controlling the ball, and bro isn't even in the set yet. He hasn't even arrived into frame. How did he think he was going to get there? Things aren't looking great, though, down at the bottom of the table for West Ham, as they were slapped 3-0 by previously winless Wolves. Jesus fucking Christ, these lot are bad. West Ham, before kickoff, tweeted Cry as a nice little nickname for their winger Crescencio Somerville. Don't worry, West Ham admin, Hammers fans will be doing plenty of that when they're playing in the Championship next season. Declan Rice wasn't offering up too much in the way of sympathy in the comments. The Hammers must have been still drunk from New Year's for this performance. Max Kilman is going to be surprised when he realises he's not actually a Wolves player anymore. And as for Wolves, look, great performance. Maybe United should be happy at getting a point versus this Wolves super team. And life got even worse for West Ham when they were then defeated in an all-important clash versus Forest, who sit just above them in the league. Nuno Espirito Santo's getting sacked by 2 clubs in the same season. This is going to be mental. He was sacked by Forest for losing to West Ham. Now he's going to be sacked by West Ham for losing to Forest. West Ham debuted 2 new strikers in this game that are quite literally the same man. Lazio's owner will be laughing smugly to himself when he realises he sold the same player to them twice, but one's got an afro on. Their next winger coming in is getting a little bit suspect now, boys. Now, though, it is time for your AFCON update. Obviously, I missed an episode of FTW over New Year's, and that means there's been a lot going on in AFCON since the last update I gave to you. Nigeria slapped up Mozambique in the knockout stages with a 4-0 victory. But the main talking point in this one was Victor Osimhen clashing with Ademola Lookman. There were rumours that Victor had threatened to retire from the Super Eagles, and like a man with a hairline that's receded back to 1997, he wanted to travel back to Turkey. The annoyance here for Victor was that he thought Ademola should have passed to him, but we were 3-0 up already. Osimhen wasn't letting it go on the bus journey home.
Simple pass. This is what they teach us in academy. Simple pass.
Please make up, lads, though, because genuinely, Nigeria's team without these two trying to score versus Algeria is going to be a real problem. There was drama late in Algeria's tie against the Democratic Republic of Congo. This one went to extra time before substitute Adil Bulbina scored an absolute screamer in the 119th minute to send Algeria into raptures and into the quarterfinals to face Nigeria and DR Congo into a state of depression. The one fan has been making headlines for DR Congo standing in the exact same place for a full 90 minutes, whilst dressed as the great Congolese politician and icon of Congolese independence, Fabrice Lumumba. He's been doing this all tournament. I'm sure the guys sat behind him in the stands won't be as happy. Michael Kaku, this fan, aka Lumumba, though, could be seen crying upon Congo's pretty devastating defeat here, and one Algerian player could be seen taking a piss out of him at full time. To be honest, though, actually in quite poor taste. I know he's trying to do up shit housery and stuff, but Patrice Lumumba actually helped a lot of, like, Africa, generally speaking, was important in inspiring a lot of African countries to look for independence, including Algeria. So it's poor form, but in fairness, he probably just doesn't know his history. And he did at least apologise over on Insta. Gabon's national team is also history this week. Yeah, the Gabon Footballing Federation and government decided to sack their entire squad after a disappointing AFCON group stage campaign that saw them go out bottom. They were defeated by everybody. They were defeated by Cameroon, then Mozambique and Cote d'Ivoire, and that led to the banning of their all-time top goal scorer and all-time appearance maker, the former being, of course, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He'll be getting arrested when he gets home to Gabon to go and see his great auntie. It's actually such a mental course of action. This is like so over the top. They said everybody goes home right now. Mali have done something quite incredible during this African Cup of Nations. They've managed to make it to the quarterfinals without actually winning a game. Yeah, they drew all of their group stage matches, and then, despite going down to 10 men inside 26 minutes, drew with Tunisia and then went through on penalties. Egypt dispatched of Benin elsewhere, and Mo Salah's sister posted this on Insta. Now, it was only a return serve to something that Benin had posted themselves, but Jesus Christ, that probably not like the best thing that you could have posted under the circumstance. Earlier in the competition, in Uganda faced off against Nigeria in the group stages, where they had to use all 3 of their goalkeepers in the space of 11 minutes, 1 injured and 1 sent off for handling the ball outside of the area. This is just panic stations, bro. Why did you even remotely think you could use your hands here? A Brazilian 5th-tier striker who was chosen and called up by the Cameroonian FA actually came on and made his debut during the course of this week. Meanwhile, Lyle Foster was getting aggressive with a linesman whilst playing for South Africa. Yeah, the Burnley striker was getting physical. To be fair, it was a terrible decision, but bro, you can't be shoving linos and that. He could be seen feigning injury trying to get his ops yellow carded. If you thought Mali getting through to the quarterfinals without winning a game was crazy, Sudan making it through to the knockout stages without scoring a goal is even more mental. The only goal that did go in their favour, an own goal scored by their opposition. At Zimbabwe, and we've got a handball trying to deny a goal scoring opportunity for a shot that was going wide in the first place. But at least the good news for them is a new gem, a 16-year-old by the name of Tadiwa Chakuchichi, who made his debut for the country. Now in Germany, and there has been controversy at Bayern, where youngster and future superstar Leonard Karl at a fan press day acknowledged and accepted that one day he wants to sign for Real Madrid, suggesting that this would stay between us in a room full of fucking cameras. Broski, please take a touch. Like, what are you even doing? He's folded under absolutely no pressure whatsoever. Look, I get it, you know, players wanting to have ambition, not necessarily wanting to stay at the same club their entire careers. Look, it makes sense. He didn't sign for Bayern when he was 7, you know, but just understand the situation and the fact that the fans aren't gonna like that when you already play for a major club. Leon Goretzka's probably just gassed now that people have stopped hating him and moved on to a new target. Not only that, but he then scored in a friendly and performed the calmer celebration to Bayern fans after. He's a fucking idiot, bless him. This is a double entendre of foolishness, by the way, because you're taking the piss out of the Bayern fans, telling them to calm down, and you're doing a Real Madrid legend celebration in Cristiano Ronaldo. Heading over to Spain and for Barcelona in La Liga, Joan Garcia proved that he might actually be one of the best goalkeepers in the world at the moment, making some incredible saves and keeping a clean sheet amongst boos against his former side Espanyol. He also, in the process, assassinated Gerard Martin to try and get a block in. Fermin Lopez also balled out with 2 assists in this one. Lamine Yamal celebrating by putting the 3 points in his pocket. Meanwhile, Lewandowski still scoring whilst biologically aged 62. Barca will be fuming when they realise they got to pay his goal bonus. In Supercopa action, and Barcelona absolutely obliterated Athletic Bilbao with an unreal attacking display, demolishing the Basque side 5-0. This wasn't the Supercopa, this was just the Copa for Bilbao. Defensively, yeah, they weren't doing anything in the first half, I'm not gonna lie to you. And I've got to say, the youngster Rooney Bargi they signed from Copenhagen was absolutely nuts in this one. His dribbling is crazy. Lamine Yamal, I'm sure, was concerned watching on, thinking he might take his right wing spot.
I mean, yeah, he's doing good for a backup quarterback.
Backup? Yeah. He's 21, right?
Yeah, he's 21. I'm 26, though. I'm only hurt for a few games.
That's definitely the future of this franchise.
The future backup. Yes, sir.
And in the other semi-final, Real Madrid got the better of Atletico 2-1 in a fiery affair. Your next goal of the week came in this one as well, in just the 2nd minute, as Federico Valverde pummeled a free kick in from distance. Just the average goal for Federico Valverde, honestly. But the drama came at the end of this one when Vini Jr. was substituted. Diego Simeone using that as an opportunity to try and get in his head. First of all, claiming that Florentino Perez was going to sell the Brazilian, shouting it at him, and then telling him to listen to all the whistles and booing he was receiving. Vini unsurprisingly reacted badly and commented on Insta afterwards saying that Diego had lost yet another knockout game. Dani Ceballos also responded saying he's never gotten over the fact that he's lost to Real Madrid in 2 Champions League finals. Rage bait from Diego and still losing. His poor man, come on. So in fairness, Vini Jr. was producing some prime Jogo Vomito in this game. Meanwhile, Elche and this couple were being observed on television.
La traición y termina con roce en la cara y gesto de no, mi pichoncito, perdona a este fornido caballero incapaz de medir su descomunal fuerza. Ella se le devuelve sin saber.
A slightly different scene though for a couple at Milan, where at the San Siro, one kid is getting rejected in the stand. The worst you can say is no. Yeah, no, it's not, bro. It's probably this. Head up, my lad, yeah? At Juventus, and Dusan Vlahovic brought out a Panenka and missed from the penalty spot. Brother, you don't have the facilities or the minerals for this. Antonio Conte was having to act as a peacemaker of all people in a clash between Lazio and Napoli. Antonio Conte breaking up a fight is like Donald Trump winning a peace award. Wait, hold on. And someone managed to fall into their own jacket whilst watching in the stands in a game between Verona and Torino. Now, though, time for your final goal of the week. You've seen quite a lot of them scattered throughout the episode. The final one comes from Australia. Eli Adams is stepping up to take a free kick for MacArthur, and he's absolutely rocketed it into the far corner. The pace and power on this one is an absolute joke.
Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes the beautiful game.
Up in Scotland and we saw the Old Firm derby. Now I spoke about it a little bit more in a video yesterday, but Celtic were defeated here and it led to the sacking of Wilfred Nancy after just 8 games in charge. No more Connect 4 on the bench for him. You can't look like Diddy this much and succeed in the footballing world, to be fair, so maybe that. It didn't stop the Celtic youth from giving it large in this game, but in the end Rangers would get the last laugh. Chris Boyd suggesting that Wilfred Nancy needed a little bit more time during his punditry duties.
I wouldn't be make any knee-jerk decision for the Celtic. Patience is a virtue.
Okay, well, let's hear from two who had a big part to play in that Rangers dressing room. Yusuf Chaviti.
Yeah, nah, he knew what he was doing. It's a shithousery award for the former Rangers man. Over in Portugal and at Porto, goalkeeper Diogo Costa showed just how much Rodrigo Moura means to him by absolutely volleying him in his spine. And Portuguese export João Felix is playing over in Saudi Arabia with Al Nassr. Himself and his teammates Angelo and Wesley decided to recreate the Spider-Man meme after scoring this week. And they were given some pretty decent assistance by their opponent goalkeeper, who decided that shot stopping's actually optional as part of his job description with this terrible howler. Over in Ecuador, and Quito Diaz was being announced and shown off by his new club. He was tasked with the job of, pumping a couple footballs into the crowd for fans to get a hold of, except he miscued one of them and smacked somebody in the face. Less violence, more love going on in Australia, where in the A-League, and we've got this lovely celebration, this forward deciding to get a mascot on his back for a little piggyback ride. In Norway though, and tensions clearly are rising in this post-match interview.
You wanted a penalty or?
Yeah, but every fucking time we get penalty, they don't give us penalty. This, against Sunderland, we get penalty, they don't give. And this time also, before I hit the ball, he'll shoot my leg. And the referee, they're like, they don't have eyes. What the fuck?
No piggybacks for anybody here. Glentoran defeated Carrick 7-0 in the Northern Irish League this week. It was a bad day at the office for Patrick Hoban, the forward grabbing 6 goals in 50 minutes. So give him 2 match balls right now. Another man who'll be hoping to do some finishing is Giz Hornkamp, who signed for AZ Alkmaar this January. But honestly, every time I hear this man's name, I genuinely think it's a social experiment. His parents need to be put in an asylum. Dreamer Speed is on a journey through Africa at the moment, streaming across the continent, and whilst he was in Angola, he decided to race an entire youth team and seemed confused when he beat them all and they were still gassed about it. Darwin Núñez met a young fan in Saudi Arabia this week and promised that he would do the kids' favourite celebration, and he duly delivered when he scored for Al Hilal this week. Meanwhile, in Algeria, and we've got a little bit of kung fu going on. What are you talking about? I've got the balls, ref. At Watford versus Hull, and there was a strange and suspect postponement. Watford claiming that very, very late in the day, despite an inspection being carried out by the referee and, clearance to play the game being carried out, Hull decided to postpone their match. Now, no one really knows the reason why. Apparently, Hull claimed that there was still some frozen patches like off the pitch or snow off the pitch. Never known that to be a reason before, but it's absolutely shocking behaviour because Watford fans had travelled all the way up to Hull just to have the game called off that late. Hopefully, they got reimbursed. Meanwhile, Nicholas Fulkrug officially left West Ham this week and posted this picture on Instagram of a glory day whilst he was at the Hammers. Except it wasn't a glorious day because this is him celebrating a goal that got disallowed, which pretty much sums up his West Ham career. Stockport Town found themselves in a little bit of hot water this week. On an away day to the Isle of Man, they lost their baggage, which meant that they didn't have their kits with them, and that meant they had to use their opponent's away kit for their match. At Selby Town, they're concerned about a frozen pitch, and they're doing all they can to make sure that undersoil heating does its job. Except it's not undersoil heating, it's above soil, and it's literally just a radiator. And it's cold weather clearly at Erzurumspor in Turkey, where their goalkeeper Matija Urbanic had to warm up by drinking some tea mid-match. At Merthyr Town, they're telling us to get our cocks out after he scored this week. Yo, that's a little bit crazy. Meanwhile, this old man playing Kirby has got some serious technique. This is actually crazy. He must be a former footballer, bro. Get him back. Actually, he's probably just from Brazil. Now that it's time for Still 0-0, you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. Look, who wants to be an official? Who wants to be a referee in this day and age? And certainly, who wants to be a referee at Sunday League level? Well, clearly, in the Czech Republic, there's a little bit of a shortage because they are in need of a linesman. Either injury or someone not being able to make it means that they have got to think outside the box or inside the toolbox, as this mechanic decided to just pick up the duties instead. I love Sunday League, man. On to the weird stuff though now. First of all, we head to Germany, where Alexander Nuri has gone from swapping tactics to flipping burgers. Yet the former Bundesliga coach has decided to trade being a football manager for managing 2 McDonald's sites in northwest Germany. Now, this might sound a certain way, but seemingly he was just disillusioned with like football management and wanted some sort of stable management where he didn't have to be constantly moving around. I think it's an underrated feature of being in the world of football that if you lose your job, you go somewhere else, you got to turf up your family and move to a different city. He clearly didn't want to do that anymore and decided this is his new calling. But finally, I want to send my best wishes to a young footballer by the name of Tyrese Dos Santos, a 19-year-old player for Metz who it was in Switzerland recently. An absolutely horrific incident broke out in Switzerland recently at a ski resort. A fire basically broke out at a ski resort. It unfortunately claimed lots of lives and injured many more. Tyrese was at this ski resort with his girlfriend Colleen. He managed to escape, but then realized that she was still in there, went back in, managed to save her, but did unfortunately suffer pretty bad burns and injuries. So Tyrese, wishing you the speediest of recoveries, an absolute hero for going back in to save people, and hopefully we see you back with your family and back on the pitch very, very soon. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.